This is Trade Flow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. Trade Flow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices fell on Monday, extending losses from the previous session after the dollar rose amid market concerns that higher-than-expected inflation could delay cuts to high U.S. interest rates that have been capping global fuel demand growth. Brent crude futures fell 35 cents, or 0.4%, to $81.27 a barrel by 0419 GMT, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures, WTI, declined 35 cents, or 0.5%, to $76.14 a barrel as the U.S. dollar strengthened. A stronger dollar makes oil more expensive for holders of other currencies. The dip built on losses last week, when Brent declined about 2% and WTI fell more than 3% on indications that U.S. interest rate cuts could be delayed by 2 months due to an uptick in inflation.
A slump in U.S. refining activity and disruptions to global trade have tightened diesel supplies in recent weeks, dampening historically high U.S. diesel exports to Europe this month. Difficulties in securing U.S. diesel complicate an existing supply crunch in Europe, which previously relied on Russian fuel exports. U.S. diesel cracks briefly surged to a 4-month high of over $48 a barrel this month, crimping arbitrage opportunities to ship the fuel to Europe. Many of Europe's other suppliers in the Middle East and Asia have been forced to traverse around the Cape of Good Hope due to Houthi attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, adding lengthy delays and making that trade less profitable too.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Qatar will raise natural gas production despite a recent steep drop in global prices, in a long-term bet on rising demand for the less polluting fuel in Europe and Asia. Qatar Energy Chief Saad Al-Kaabi said on Sunday a new expansion of its liquefied natural gas, LNG, production will add 16 million metric tons per year to its expansion plans, bringing total capacity to 142 million tons per year, TPY. The Qatari announcement comes as Asian LNG prices have recently collapsed to a nearly 3-year low as higher than usual temperatures during the Northern Hemisphere winter have slashed demand. LNG is gas that is supercooled to a liquid, which reduces its volume to allow for transport by ship.
As the world's top global energy trading houses prepare for their biggest annual industry get-together this week in London, they face a growing problem: what to do with their cash. Most trading houses, which are privately owned and controlled by their employees, disclose little about their cash position, equity or dividends. But according to more than 10 trading and banking sources and Reuters calculations, Vitol, Trafigura, Mercuria and Gunvor are collectively sitting on billions of dollars, even after paying out record dividends. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Prices of copper opened the week lower on Monday, under pressure from a firmer U.S. dollar ahead of key economic data, while higher inventories in top consumer China also weighed. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange shed 0.4% to $8,537 per metric ton by 0128 GMT, while the most traded March copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange slid 0.3% to 69,110 yuan, $9,605.01 per ton. The dollar was on the front foot on Monday ahead of a week packed with key economic releases.
Iron ore futures fell on Monday, as higher inventories in key buyer China and slower construction activity due to unfavorable weather raised demand concerns. The most traded May iron ore on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange traded 2.82% lower at 878 yuan and 50 fen, $122.05 per metric ton, as of 0222 GMT. The benchmark March iron ore on the Singapore Exchange was 3.12% lower at $116.30 a ton. Inventories of iron ore at major Chinese ports rose. Supply concerns also eased, with a cyclone threatening Wa, Western Australia. Ports now tracking away from the state's iron ore hub, analysts at ANZ Bank said in a note.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Indonesia has allocated an additional quota of 1.6 million metric tons of rice for import for this year on top of 2 million tons previously approved, an official said on Monday, anticipating lower domestic output in the January to March harvest. The Trade Ministry is working to issue the import permits for the additional allocation, Ministry official Arif Sulistyo said during a weekly government meeting streamed live. Indonesia imported 3.06 million tons of the grain in 2023, close to a record.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to Trade Flow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at Trade Flow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.